Acrylic or glass? Which one should you use to build your aquarium out of? This has been a hot topic in the aquarium hobby for a very long time. My name is Joey Mullen and you're watching Do-It-Yourself Pro Tips and Tricks. Acrylic is the superior material when it comes to glass versus acrylic. Acrylic is superior in clarity, distortion, impact resistance, weight, insulation, and long-term properties. However, can we afford the statistically higher prices of acrylic over glass? And can we be careful enough around it not to ruin it with scratches? In one of the previous pro tips and tricks, we discussed which type of aquarium is going to be easiest to build. We mentioned that acrylic, in my opinion, was the easiest aquarium to build, with glass in a second place. However, we're only going to weigh the physical and optical properties of each in this video. So let's get started. Wait a minute. This video isn't going to be about a do-it-yourself pro tip or trick, and you're probably wondering why. Do-it-yourself pro tips and tricks is based off the book, The Ultimate Do-It-Yourself Handbook. Now these pro tips appear in the book in order, and that's how these videos are actually being filmed. Now this video comparing acrylic to glass is one of those pro tips, and we're going to be covering it based on the fact that I think it's extremely important to know everything about what you're building, and that's exactly what that book is all about. Anyways, let's let this guy continue talking, because we all know he loves to do it. We'll start off with clarity. Which one is more clear? We will define clarity with how much light gets through them, also known as light transmission. Now when it comes to acrylic, acrylic has a light transmission of 93%. Glass has a light transmission of 82%. The clear winner here is acrylic. Now the clarity of a thin piece of acrylic and a thin piece of glass is really not that obvious. However, the thicker you go, the more obvious it will be. The reason being is glass has iron content, and it presents itself in a green tint. Now you've probably heard of sapphire glass, which is just low iron content glass. However, it only goes up by about 6%, which is great, but it's still not as good as acrylic. Next up is distortion. When you're looking into your aquarium, the fish you're looking at are probably not looking their true colors or even in the right location that they actually are due to the distortion of the viewing panel. Now this is referred to as refraction of light. Now for example, the air we breathe has a refraction of light of 1.00003. Now that's about as clear as you're going to get. Acrylic has a refraction of light of 1.49, while glass has a refraction of light of 1.53. So obviously acrylic has the less amount of light being refracted. Now what this means is when looking through an acrylic panel, your fish will look more true to their size, color, and location in the aquarium as opposed to looking through a glass panel. Now we can move on to strength. When it comes to strength and physical properties of a glass versus of acrylic, we can compare the two in the two most important aspects of an aquarium, which is impact resistance and tensile strength. Now to keep things simple, acrylic is 7 times more impact resistant than glass is. As for tensile strength, what that means is how much pressure or how much material can take before losing its shape. Now glass has a tensile strength 2.5 times stronger than acrylic. When it comes to weight of an aquarium, glass weighs 2.6 grams per cubic centimeter and acrylic weighs 1.2 grams per cubic centimeter. So acrylic here is the clear winner, weighing less than half that of glass. Insulation properties is also something we're going to consider. To get an idea on a material's insulation properties, we look at what its heat transmission rate is. Now heat transmission basically means how fast heat can transfer from one side of an object to the other. Now this is largely going to come down to the thickness of the material used, but on average, heat will travel 20% faster through glass than it will acrylic. Now this amounts to not needing near as much power to heat your aquarium. As for durability, what we'll consider with aquariums is how easily they scratch and which one chips easier. Now we already know that acrylic is 7 times more impact resistant than glass, so we can assume that glass is definitely going to chip long before an acrylic aquarium would. However, acrylic is actually a soft material and it will scratch easier. The long term of a glass aquarium versus acrylic aquarium is really simple. It's going to come down to the seams. A glass aquarium has silicone seams where an acrylic aquarium technically doesn't have any seams because it's welded together. So it's probably going to last you a lot longer. However, with a glass aquarium, that silicone on average needs to be replaced usually every 10 years. Now there's actually a lot of misconceptions surrounding acrylic that I'm going to cover in the next do-it-yourself pro tips and tricks. I'm going to give you a lot of information about the misconceptions and some tricks on how to avoid them. So my question is this: knowing what you do now, what would you pick? Glass or acrylic? So that's been this week's do-it-yourself pro tip and trick. If you guys enjoyed it and you'd like to see more, go ahead and click the top video to watch last week's or the middle video to watch next week's. You can also click the bottom video to watch a playlist I created on how to build aquariums. Follow me on Facebook so we can stay in touch and I can keep you guys up to date. Now, in the last video, it wasn't the last video. However, it only goes up by about 6%, which is great, but not as good as glass. So my question is this: now that you know what you know now, and now in the next video I'm going to give you some tips and advice. No, I'm not.